Jornell dominates the meetings of the group she started for mothers whose children were taken by the Child Welfare Department. A heavy-set, lively woman, Jornell jumps into every discussion. She can barely contain her complaints about the department's actions, advice to other mothers about their cases, ideas about what the organization could do to change the system. "I live for this now. I have no other life. I have no other purpose," Jornell told me the first time we spoke. "My life is an ongoing battle to hold on to my child." Jornell had her first son, Ronnie, 25 years ago, when she was a 15-year-old high school student. She dropped out of school and moved in with her boyfriend's mother, who took over raising the child. After getting her GED and some secretarial training at a local business institute, she worked at an assortment of temporary jobs: a receptionist at an insurance company, a clerk at the stock exchange, a secretary in the permit department of the Chicago Park District. But by the time she reached her 30s, Jornell was plagued with severe health problems that kept her from holding down a job. She was overweight and diabetic, and she had started drinking and smoking crack. Jornell's involvement in the child welfare system began as soon as her second son was born in January 1998. When Jornell became pregnant with David, she was 36 years old, living in public housing on Social Security disability benefits, suffering from diabetes, and addicted to crack and alcohol. Jornell gave me permission to use her name. I am using a fictitious name for her son. She decided to get help soon after she discovered she was pregnant, when a doctor told her there was a risk that her baby would have a defect. She joined a program called Healthy Fit for Healthy Family Intervention Team, based at Mount Sinai Hospital in Chicago, where she received prenatal care. According to the program's flyer, Healthy Fit provides drug and/or alcohol assessment, treatment, and case management services for pregnant or newly delivered women receiving care within the Sinai health system. "I felt that I had a right to heal," Jornell told me. "I didn't want the drugs. I didn't want the alcohol. I didn't want to be mentally ill anymore. I followed all their recommendations. I went into long-term treatment. I did everything I was supposed to do for myself before the intervention. The intervention was supposed to assist me to be a family, but this is the worst entanglement anybody can become involved in." Because she was participating in Healthy Fit, Jornell was known to hospital social workers even before David was born. They put the newborn on social hold until they could investigate her living arrangement. She wasn't allowed to bring David home until 4 days after she was released. When David was 1 month old, she brought him several times to a hospital emergency room when he had recurring digestive problems. While the baby was being treated at the hospital, she gave him an enema. Jornell says she was following the advice of a doctor who had seen the baby earlier. She felt that the nurses were too busy with other children and weren't taking David's illness seriously. She now acknowledges her judgment may have been clouded. She was still recovering from a difficult pregnancy and delivery, complicated by her diabetes. The hospital staff became alarmed at Jornell's interference and suspected that she had already overmedicated the baby at home. They called the Child Abuse Hotline. The Illinois Department of Children and Family Services, known as DCFS, investigated. A caseworker decided that the report was indicated. There was credible evidence that David was at risk of physical harm and took custody of the baby. "They said I was an overly concerned mother," is how Jornell describes the charges against her. David was placed in a foster home with 4 other foster children. According to Jornell, she was so distraught by David's removal that it took her until August to fill out a child protection appeal form she received from the court clerk. A month later, an internal review team overturned the caseworker's finding of potential abuse. The decision stated that, according to a social worker who interviewed Jornell, "Natural mother thinks very clearly and decisively, would not harm a child, and is capable of caring for the child." It also stated that a psychiatrist who had been treating Jornell disclosed that Jornell had drug and alcohol problems in the past, but had not used either for more than a year. "Natural mother is committed to being clean," the psychiatrist reported. "NM has a problem with anger, but is not aggressive. In professional opinion, NM is capable of parenting baby and has been consistent in interest of baby's needs over her own during pregnancy." Tests performed on David when he was born showed he was not exposed to drugs.